Hello, and here I am today, very excited for one is bound to open up this parcel one received from Etsy, directed to France, and my sister brought it just now, which is an original pair that I dated myself, and the ex-collector that the seller bought it from had dated with a sticker marked 1890, and they do look exactly the same than those sold and then those advertisements which have survived, and other models which have survived, and of which photographs I have seen. And so that after they came in that box, to count the wrapping, they came in that box there. So that is an extremely rare item. Damn, my phone. That are wrapped in a sandwich container, and here is this magnificent pair there. And that model is particularly rare for, as one may see, it increases or decreases the straps, since it is not, and this is actually not a, I don't know if it is British. No, it is probably British because the seller it was situated in Britain, but it is not an upper class model, since indeed this is probably mass produced, or at least those little things there were clearly purchased in a store. These would have probably been purchased in a store, and then perhaps those also, but the woman might have embroidered this, although I think this is machine done. So this is not an upper class item, for most likely an upper class pair of blazers would have been made, but never mind those, but they would have been made of only a full piece of 3 straps that would not decrease or increase the straps, since they would be made to fit only one person. So this is a common man's pair of braces, most likely a wedding pair of braces for a common man, or a Sunday pair of braces, or an upper class man who are not very strong, that an extremely thin material, even thinner than what I had expected, and thus they would not have been used to hold up everyday trousers, which were very, very, very heavy back then. So forth, it becomes elementary to my educated eye that this pair was probably meant as a very special occasion one for an average person, i.e. middle class, the bottom of the middle class to upper middle class, or eventually a wedding pair also for perhaps an upper lower class person. But so this is a very rare model. I have not seen this on any advertisements or originals, photographs in museums, or on sale on eBay or Etsy or otherwise, which actually increase or decreases the straps from behind. So this is meant to button at the back of the trousers, and here one places the. So actually, I now understand what the previous owner did. Not the previous owners now, the ones that have purchased it from. He was here. Wool embroidered blazers, 1890, and he actually saw that sticker. He saw it onto the straps themselves, sticking both straps together. But normally these would have been separate bands that would have passed through this, and then these little things there, little hooks like a belt, would have pierced through the fabric, the blast, and fell down. And then in the front, also quite unusual, they only support one button tab. They're only buttoned to one. Now, I know these are not upper class braces, although they are British and they date from the 1890s, clearly, and are probably British. And if they're not British anyhow, they do not make a difference, damn it. But I literally looked intensively up to 7 hours in a day, scanning the entirety of the French, British, American eBay and Etsy for original pairs, and I even asked and bothered the Antique Menswear chap Helen White, who has a channel called Antique Menswear. He did not know. I looked at other fellows that were selling things, like John Hart, and he was selling things, he did not have anything. So I came across this and the price was quite low, what it is. It was only 50, I think I got the price down to £50, but then I had to pay £90 for the shipment from Great Britain, which was not so much, but then they had import taxes because France is a stupid country that has now a lot of import taxes, and I had to get them shipped to France. I might as well have had them shipped here, but never mind. So, unfortunately, I asked the lady, I told her it was to wear, at least for my evening ensemble, which I'm now creating, and which I desire to be as accurate and original as possible. But unfortunately, I think she told me the elastics seem to work, but clearly I have barely pulled on those. And clearly they're all dried up through the years. Damn it! So, they're quite unwearable, because if I start wearing them, the trousers, which would be heavy wool, will start pulling them down. So finally, I don't know why I bought them. I will probably wear them still, because these they are not so rare. I have a lot and better ones in museums, so I will not feel bad even if I destroy them. And I do not need reference pieces, since I do not create any items. So, and the leather there is good, flexible. I could add a leather conditioner eventually over time once it starts drying. The metal is quite fine here, and these little pieces. The leather is great. The embroidery is very thin, so that clearly I will not wear those as they were, especially in Dubai. But I will wear them for the evening ensemble, at least I'll try, once I get the trousers and the evening ensemble done. So, I cannot show how it buckles up because I have not taken that out. I will see to it later on, but there, I will sort of, I have pictures anyhow, I've conserved them from eBay. So this is machine stitch embroidery, probably a machine stitch. Here, all is machine made. But obviously the quality is much higher to which one expects from off-the-rack items in this so depraved age, because back then people spend more money thereof. To get this level of craftsmanship or something close today, one would have to go to sort of high-end, or the beginning of high-end of off-the-rack items. No. And I spit it back then to blast it. So, the leather is good quality. It is good craftsmanship again for an off-the-rack item. The embroidery I think is very nice for a machine embroidered item, obviously, and it have barely been worn, which again suggests a pair of most probably wedding blazers, or eventually small bracelets or whatever, most likely wedding blazers. Probably it has been worn once. Back then people usually got married once, and they waited then for their badly matching spouses to eventually die. No divorces. And now the other tale I have, so this is the story. And I will destroy the seller, not this seller, she was very helpful. And the good thing was I'll just try them on. The husband, he was exactly my height, which is 178, which is very tall for back then, but he was exactly my height and it fitted, because the trousers I would wear them with the originals and all these, and they would be high-waisted, and so it fits. And I can always increase the lengthening in the back. But it does fit, not too short. But then I took even longer looking, because I need two morning pairs, morning, as in all black, when people die, because I have a lot of rescue animals and have them die. And I wanted originals, which would be even harder to find, but then I had two filters, 1890s and Morning Blazes. Obviously I did not care about upper class or British, because with such amounts of filters, well, I might as well look for a needle in a haystack. Fast forward, I looked and eventually it was umbilical, but I found a pair on Etsy. The seller was a Mary something. I think it is legal to say names, but I would say Mary Beth, and anyhow, the price was enormous. It was £250 for a machine-made, dated. The date was upon the buckles, 1888. Patented 1880. They will often put the patent, which was basically a copyright, that people, because there were way more facts in terms of percent back then, less laws to protect, so at least they would put a patented 1888. So henceforward people, because they would not sell directly from brands, and it was never like, they did not have branded shops. What they had is to make them in factories and then sell them through these little retail grocery shops that had anything from dry goods to a can of, cocoa powder, or some of them only sold dry goods. And to make sure the purchaser who then sold the dry goods purchased the true item, he had sometimes the patent upon, for example, the buckles. And so then the customers, for example, I would be a middle class customer. I would say to the dry goods store man, I want a pair of blazers, and I want the true patent that I read off in this magazine, because then they would publish the magazines or having advertisements in magazines. So the patent was said 1888 and something, I think the bland name. And again, a machine-made pair. In fact, I found it was the exact same pair in a British ad, an American ad, and this was a pair sold in America, thus forward in the United States of America. Within such a while that this pair most probably was an American pair, and the ad I found upon the internet was dated 1888, and it represented the same pair in terms of fit, in terms of pattern, in the buckles, and more common with two straps, yeah. But they were not Morning Blazes, but obviously they would have sold Morning Blazes, which are those black blazes made of a fake silk, because it is machine made. I mean, to bring the cost down, it is not. She told me it was a genuine silk, but even if it is actually called a cheap silk, which is a genuine. It is a sort of polyester silk from back then, or mixed with polyester. It is actually a genuine silk, but made very cheaply through machines that they had developed, I think, in the early 1880s. And that's all this is silk through time, even if, except if kept in a fridge or something, but even if kept in a drawer and never been worn and never had humidity or mushrooms, it will decompose. And in fact, the silk had frayed upon the edges, because it is the cheapest quality of silk that is makeable, at least back then. Perhaps they can make cheaper now. It is still genuine silk, but they also call it satin silk. It is very cheap silk that they use for after rack, machine stitched, mass produced items such as these blazers, and so also they are machine stitched, and the embroidery, because obviously these blazers often had flowers embroidered, and they were supposed to be represented. I forgot which kind of flower, but these were the flowers that people would put, or perhaps still put, at the graveyards. So they would wear these Morning Blazers, and also they are extremely hard to come by. Usually they have already been sold, but I knew what it looked like, because I had seen photographs of some already sold at auctions. And I'd say, but the price was enormous. She was asking $250, US dollars for them. And then I had huge shipment costs, and plus then a quite very large import tax. And the higher the price, the more the import tax, because France is a most greedy country, which represents the adjective pathetic, and which asks for enormous prices as soon as it is out of the European Union. As if anybody cared about the European Union, but it is as such. So I told the lady I had autism, I did not have a job, which was important for me, and I was going to wear them, not have as a reference piece, and it would last probably just 6 months. And so, spending all that money just for 6 months, and finally, I asked for 20%. She said, well, I can only give you 15% because I have this voucher. This voucher she had not even told me about. So then I told her, all right, then I insisted again. Finally, I had to get them. I was bound to get them. And then my card got blocked because I had used everything which I could use until September 1. And so I told my card was blocked. I could wait till September 1. And I saw that she put these trousers on hold. They cost $500 because somebody wanted them. And I asked her for on hold for these blazers, and she did not put them on hold, and then she sold them. So she was really acting as a complete jerk. But thank heavens, then I actually, thank heavens I did not purchase them, because they might probably not even have worth. I would have ended up spending at least $300 on a pair of bracelets that might have only lasted, even if it had worked, only, 6 months, and then to wear what they were, which they would not have lasted long because of all the perspiration, and I would have worn in all this. So instead I got those, which the seller, I got those in Germany. The seller did them to about 1900 to 1920. These are less rare, but still very rare. Anything from those is very rare. And are very strong. Full leather, thread braces, but clearly to see, the first time I opened them, they seem to be machine stitched still. And these are, I suppose, normally they are part of the German culture. I know less about them, but they're worn with their sort of, I forgot what it's called, the sort of knee breeches or shorts in leather. And have a undyed soft leather back, and a increase or decrease by the means of this belt-like thing. So, if I were to require more increase, I could always have purchased that from Daiso, a thing to make holes in belts in leather, so I could always do that. The only disadvantage is it would not have these little factory metal eyelets that obviously protect the leather from the hole. But it cannot be perfect, and I could always have a couple of those, but it would be at a very expensive cost. I do not think I would do that. So these are very stout braces that would obviously be able to take a lot of wear, that will be able to even be repaired. So they are not actually morning braces as far as I know, but obviously I would wear them as morning wear, since they are all black, and they're by far the only other pair of braces, more or less from that era. Again, I'm not sure about the dating, because since which or GD2, which wear anything close to black, and are in fact full black. So still relatively lucky, and are at least as from the 1930s. The buckles look very polished, but since it is metal, it hardly ages, as long as it was well kept and not worn, or perhaps if worn 10 times or barely worn. They do seem by the pattern, and I had a look on Germany that had a lot of those, and most of them dated, said, from the mid 20th century, and they looked less old. The leather seems less old, especially that part. It seems how it is cut, and it seems it suggests that yes, it could be from 1900 to 1920, as it supposes. So even if it is from 1900, it is then not from the 1890s. Again, it could even be from the 1890s, as far as I know, but I know very little of German and Austrian tailoring, although I know it was similar to British. But then one may ask, but it is very different from the British ones. But it had British ones like that, especially later on, before, in the 1800s and until the 1870s, it was popular to have belt-like systems, although usually the braces were wider, and they might not have been full leather, but more sort of, that part would have been leather, or have an elastic and then leather tabs, and that would have been cloth. But I mean, but at the end of the day, I was thinking, I'd rather have something even Arabic or Turkish, which dates from the period, because usually everything is, because at least it could have existed back then, than anything reproduced, or worse, imitations. And so I'm very happy, especially since they were only I think 60 euros, and I managed to bring the price down to 50 euros. No import taxes, because in Germany it is part of the European Union, and the shipment was very low, something like 8 euros max. I think yes, so I paid a total of 58 euros, which would have been approximately £50 for something likely at least 100 years old. Perfect mint condition, at least as perfect as it can be for something that age. For something very strong that would last perhaps up to 10 years with repairs, and which is black, and which fits me, and which is utterly wearable, and which I will utterly wear. So a great deal, absolutely amazing deal. The seller was very helpful with measurements, with everything. It was all while purchasing from the American eBay, because I can understand some written German, due to it looking a lot like English. I will, for the first time perhaps in ages, decrease. See, it works like that. This tab breaks. So eventually, where it will break, it will break from here at one point. And instead of stitching the leather back, which will probably unstitch again after a few wears, I could always have this remade. For example, in Dubai, there's a shop called Fixpad in Mall of Devlets, and they would do that for a couple hundred of dirhams, or it wears 40 euros. But so it would be repaired. It could last almost perhaps for a large time, especially if I do not live very long. So. Now it is clearly a machine-made thing, because it is stitched in the back instead of having an extra leather piece. Now this may seem as an advantage, as it makes it more comfortable, but really this is less strong, and already the threads are pulling from there. Want me to stop? You need your phone? You need your phone? Yes? So, yes? So yes, mother, I'm bringing her a phone because I do not want a smartphone, so I will have to stop this video. I shot everything before I started running them. The only two antiques I purchased in ages. So there. I'll show you. Bye bye. Woohoo!